It was a smouldering sense of anger that erupted into flames earlier today. First, he set fire to his home. Then, he piloted a small aircraft into an office building that contained the local IRS. The crash ignited a massive blaze, but remarkably claimed just one life beyond his own. And if such a series of actions seem almost impossible to comprehend, well, he also left his own explanation, as Ryan Owens now reports.
Tonight, we know this is the face behind all of the terror. A lone pilot with a grudge against the government. His target, an office full of IRS workers. But just before 10 this morning, all anybody knew were the basic facts that still strike fear in the hearts of every American. A plane turned a building into a fireball, and hundreds were trapped inside.
Got some intelligence on scene. Hit the third floor and there's people trapped on the fourth. We need units out here ASAP.
Sounded like a huge, huge bang. Our whole building shook like it was going to shatter. Some of our people in our office saw the plane hit it and then just saw a huge fireball explode. And then all the smoke started and everybody just poured out.
By the time, the explosion happened, everybody was pulling over on the side of the road, and there was people running out of the building once you got up and could see backwards. So
I heard a small plane engine flying very close, and I looked up, and there was a blue and white Piper Cherokee, which is a small plane, 4-seat, single engine. I used to flight instruct in them, and I thought it was going to hit me for a second. It was flying right across the top of the trees, and it whipped right across the building and slammed directly between the first and second floor of what I think is the Echelon 1 or Echelon 2 building.
President Obama was briefed by his top counterterrorism advisor. 2 F-16 fighter jets were scrambled. Soon enough, investigators determined it wasn't terrorism, at least not the organized kind everyone was worried about. It was the terrorism of a lone man, determined to kill himself and apparently as many others as he could. Investigators identified that man as 53-year-old Andrew Joseph Stack, known as Joe, a father, software engineer, a bass player in a local country band, and yes, a very experienced pilot. His weapon of choice then was obvious. So too was his motive, once you read this 6-page rambling letter posted on a website registered to Joe Stack. It lists today as the date of his death and chronicles years of struggle with the federal government in general, the IRS in particular. He concluded the rant with this: I saw it written once that the definition of insanity is repeating the same process over and over and expecting the outcome to suddenly be different. I am finally ready to stop this insanity. Well, Mr. Big Brother IRS man, let's try something different. Take my pound of flesh and sleep well. The last entry on his website was at 6:42 this morning. And then, according to authorities, he set his house on fire, where he lived with his wife and daughter. Both are safe tonight. Neighbor Albert Hutchins called 911.
My wife and I were both inside. She was watching TV. I was working at my computer, and we heard a loud noise. It was an unusual noise, and so we immediately, wondered what was that, and we ran into the yard and saw the smoke and flames from the house 2 doors down. And I immediately grabbed our cordless phone and called 911 and made a report on it.
Another neighbor who would not speak on camera says the family had grown withdrawn and less social in recent years. She worries now about his young daughter.
She doesn't have a home to come home to anymore. The security that she knew has been completely ripped out from underneath her. And that's what I feel for. It's that family who he had no respect for.
His rampage, as we know, didn't end at home. At 9:40 a.m., Joe Stack took off from a small airport 20 miles north of his home. His single-engine plane, a Piper Cherokee, was full of fuel. Authorities suspect he made sure of that to make the crash as deadly as possible. Just 15 minutes later, investigators believe he intentionally slammed into the second and third floors of that office building It's the exact spot where nearly 200 employees of the IRS go to work every day. Glass worker Robin DeHaven used the ladder on his truck to rescue a half dozen of those.
I jumped out, grabbed the ladder off my truck right here, my extension ladder, and went over there, and there was 5 people up there just looking out trying to get air because the room was filling with smoke. I called my mom and tried to tell her, "You'd be proud of me today." And she said, "Why?" And then it kind of like now I got kind of choked up. I don't know, just all the emotions of helping those people, and you did something, and just it all kind of came down on you later when I was like just sitting in traffic because there's a traffic jam everywhere afterwards, and I just got a little choked up after that. And it's still kind of hard to to think about it, but I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm all right.
Rescue workers arrived minutes later. The human toll they found was remarkably and mercifully low. Out of this entire building, 1 federal employee was killed. 2 had to go to the hospital. Late tonight, searchers recovered 2 bodies. Joe Stack no doubt hoped to kill many more. I'm Ryan Owens for Nightline in Austin, Texas.